Right, Jackie, we've had our fair share of difficult videos to do over the last year or so. This one should be a bit more enjoyable. Celtic 2, AZ Alkmaar 0. Definitely a step up in opposition quality for Celtic, but I felt like we answered a lot of the questions last night. I thought it was a great display.
Yeah, from the off again, I think like the last number of weeks, you can see a major improvement throughout the team, the energy and desire, the biggest thing there, to get the ball back, to go and create, go and get another opportunity. And I think they've got better each game. It's the same as the qualities get better against them, but they've handled that, and I think it's exciting. I think each game you're kind of looking forward to it now, which the way it should be. Looking forward to the next game that comes up. So long may that continue.
Last season, I think we were all dreading games, weren't we? I remember there was an international break, I think about March or April, and I was delighted because I didn't have to put up the Celtic that weekend. At the moment, I cannot wait for, to see the team on Saturday. I can't wait to see the team on, Thursday night against Alkmaar. I can't wait till the derby after that. It's brilliant to see. Euan, AZ only lost 5 games in the Eredivisie all of last season. 2 of them were against Ajax. They beat PSV home and away. And we know how fearful Celtic fans were of facing PSV in the Champions League a couple of weeks ago. So that was a good side we were playing last night.
Yeah, football points to the fact that I spoke to Football Oranje editor Michael Bell before the game, and AZ were missing some pretty important players, but they had a core of a really, really good team there. And like us, they put a lot of emphasis on attacking football, on bringing through youngsters to bolster the squad. So two managers with really similar outlooks on football, playing successful attacking football, and we got the better of them. I think it's a really, really good result. I think it's one of those ones where if it was in a tournament proper, you'd be saying, that was a really significant result. It's tough luck to get them before the actual Europa League kicks off. So to get them in a qualifier is pretty hard going. But yeah, it was a really good result. They're a very well put together team.
Yeah, I was looking at all the Europa League playoff ties, and I think our tie is the standout one. A team like ourselves up against one of the better teams in the Dutch league, so brilliant. Jackie, the easy thing to do that everyone's been doing is chatting about Kyogo, so I thought we could kind of get that away or out the way nice and early. He scored 6 goals in 14 days for Celtic. We've not even got a game today, and I'm half expecting to hear news that Kyogo scored a couple of goals, because the guy just scores for fun. I don't even know if we've spoken to you about him yet, but have you been quite blown away like the rest of us about his start?
Yeah, I was at the Dundee game, and see him live, and he got a hat-trick, but he could have had, a double hat-trick. The chances he had in the game, he probably took the harder ones, but I think that the biggest thing that I like about him is his work rate and his desire to get in the places. I don't know how many times we spoke about it last season, about getting across the front between the centre-backs and the goalkeeper. He's 2 of his goals, even his 3rd goal against Dundee when Christie slips it through. He's got desire, he knows where he wants it, he knows, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think he's an exciting player. And I wasn't sure to start, if he'd be right through the middle or coming off from the left-hand side. But I think he's shown a real tenacity about his game as well. He gets stuck in, he's not scared to go and take a hit, 1v1 with keepers or centre-backs. I think he's been fantastic so far.
That first goal last night, for me, that's the best goal he's scored so far for Celtic. The play from Rogic is brilliant, Euan, but that finish to get your foot that high when the ball's coming at that pace, and to time it, to direct it into the top of the side or the top netting like that, it was an incredible goal.
He doesn't seem to score bad ones, is the thing though. His second against Dundee was phenomenal. His goal against Hart is really good when he beats Gordon at his near side. He just doesn't seem to score bad. There's no such thing as a bad goal, they all count, but he's out there. There's certainly some famous strikers you could compare him to. But I think that's maybe a conversation for later on. We'll see how he gets on the next few months. But his movement and his finishing are just absolutely exceptional. But then, to many, he was already the kind of finished product. We brought him in at 26. He was already the J-League's top scorer. He's still the J-League's top scorer, which I find amazing. But Yeah, just a really, really good find from Ange Postecoglou.
Jackie, can you remember a striker coming to Celtic and having such an impact and being so loved by supporters so quickly?
I mean, Larsson, I was fortunate enough to see him come in, and Lubo. Lubo was obviously Lubo didn't score the goals, but I think his ability there when he first came in, Henrik obviously was probably the best. Come in again with the managers that brought him in. Vim brought in Henrik, Dr. Joe brought in Lubo, and just brought this guy in, a bit unknown to us, but at the start. But then, I think it's shown that it's a fantastic signing so far.
Talk to me about the revivals of Tom Rogic and Anthony Ralston then, Jackie, because these are two players I think I'd written them both off as being players who could contribute this season, and they both look like they're playing, at a level that none of us expected they could reach. As a player, do you just sometimes find a manager that you can just, I don't know, do you find a manager you want to work harder for? Do you find a manager that you just feel more comfortable playing for? And is that what's maybe happened with Rogic and Ralston?
I think it's part of it. I think there's a number of issues that's helped. The way he plays. For Ralston, it's the people above him, the energy in front of him. It makes his job there. He's got options in the ball. Rogic as well. It's he looks fitter. You can see obviously that they're doing things differently. The intensity they're playing at in the games, and it leaves space for others. Like Rogic, it's creating more space for him. And he's enjoying the freedom, but the fans being back in the stadium as well. Like we said last year, it's just a different game with the fans there. The energy,
proper football, some would say, Jackie.
Proper football, yeah, it is, and it's as a player, it's enjoyable because you're going there to create. You're going there to, I don't mind winning 3-2 every week, scoring 3 goals, losing 2. I'd rather do that than win 1-0. It's a football you want to go and watch. The fans are excited to see it, intensity in the game, people trying to do things, and the fans always react to that. The people trying things and doing it the right way to please the crowd, and it's working.
Euan, just going back to Ralston, is it a case that we don't really know how good Anthony Ralston could be because we've never really seen him being given this opportunity? He's never really been Celtic's number one right back, and I know we've got Juranovic coming in, it seems, over the weekend, but at the moment, Ralston is our number one right back.
I think you're bang on. I think he's had so many kind of false dawns. I know he had a couple of difficult loan spells. St Johnstone, Dundee United, he wasn't really getting onto a game there. And obviously, having better players around you is going to help. I think it's probably easier to play right back for Celtic than it is for, it's disrespect, but for St Johnstone at the time, I think it's probably easier playing a right back, playing an attacking side that wants the fullbacks to get forward. It gives him more sort of creative license. I think it probably is an easier shift. But that said, I think his game has come on leaps and bounds. And yeah, like you say, we don't know how good he's going to be. I mean, it's a really interesting one because I think we were all kind of in agreement that he was sort of the default option, and it was no harm to him, but it was kind of tough to get excited about it. We all said we need a new right back desperately, but if he's, I think he's going to be, even if he is back up, he'll play plenty this season. I think the energy, the intensity of the game that Ange Postecoglou wants to play means that squad players are going to get a lot of minutes this season. It's still going to be like Hal McGregor playing like 4,000 minutes like last season. That's just not going to be the case. So I think Ralston's played his way into contention, and he's been fantastic, and it's been great to watch.
He just looks so fit. I mean, there was 2 runs in the closing stages of the game yesterday. One, I think it was Ralston that leads to the chance where we have 2 or 3 ones and they're cleared off the line and the keeper's making amazing saves. And then there's another one. It might even have been like one of the last kicks of the match when he kind of sprints down and I think he wins a corner or a throw in or something like that. And that's the energy he's got. And I think you're right, Euan. And I think the Celtic support realise that if Juranovic comes in, you've got him and Ralston kind of fighting for that, that right back jersey. I think Juranovic, you would still fancy him as being the number one choice with his pedigree, but we're happy now with Ralston being a backup. And if you go back to like 4 or 5 weeks ago, Ralston was just, I remember all the chat when he was offered a contract. I mean, that contract extension now looks like a masterstroke from whoever at the club. Was it Ange? Was it, Don Mackay? They definitely need to take some credit for that. Stephen Welsh, Jackie, have you been impressed with him lately? And I don't know if you noticed, and I don't even know if this is the case or it's just me going mental at the games, but Starfelt and Welsh did switch sides, I think, for the game yesterday. Is that the case? And did you notice that, Jackie?
Yeah, I think Welsh is, I thought it was harsh when he get dropped for the other game in the European game. They brought Beaton back in front of him. I didn't think he'd done a lot wrong. And it is, for me, that's just the one area that I think we need to, improve in. Starfelt's taking a bit of time to adjust, I think, into the speed of things and having that sort of composure, if you like, the way the manager wants to play. But Welsh, I think, he had a really good block last night that prevented a goal late on. So, no, I think, again, like Ralston, I think he's only going to get better. I think this guy, the manager, have got to give good credit to, that he's going to improve players. And, we can see that already.
Just going back to Starfelt, do you think he's had quite a how would you describe his start so far? I kind of feel the Celtic supporter, maybe some fans are going a wee bit over the tops, calling him a dud and all that kind of stuff. But do you think he's maybe going to take a little bit of time to get up to speed of things?
Yeah, I think all round, because sometimes when you see a player like that, centre back come in, you think he's going to be aggressive, he's going to be a dominating centre half, he's going to be a footballing centre half. Just now, I'm not sure what type he is, because he doesn't command a box or have that aggression. He doesn't look all powerful, and he doesn't look overly comfortable on the ball starting things off. But it is early on, it's very early in his Celtic career. The Hearts game when we lost at Tynecastle, I thought, you could see he wasn't up to speed there when he took himself at the game for the first goal, the European game, Jablonec away. When he comes across the other side, I think it was the second goal, he does the same thing. He takes himself out of the game. He can sprint across to the right back area, if you like, and the guy comes back inside him. So little things like that from an experienced, defender. You think, right, you just keep him coming down that right hand side, show him down the line. If he scores from that angle, then you're questioning your goalkeeper. So there's little things there, I think. And I just think that's down to sort of fitness and then coming into the team. He'll get stronger. Even if you take Ralston, for example, the Michelin game at Celtic Park, I thought he tired after like 55, 60 minutes. You could see him, sort of breathing down the Celtic end. But you look at him now in the last minutes of the game, he's running forward, he's more energy about him. And it's not taking him long to adjust to the demands of that. And they must be getting plenty of rest in between the games as well.
I think that's a good point you make, is that the team does look so much fitter. And last season it was something that we talked about so often. And Ange spoke about it in his first few weeks, probably first few months at the club, about the team not being at the fitness levels he wanted them to get to. But last night, I think Rogic's really tired last night. I thought he looked knackered before he came off, but that's Tom Rogic. And even Rogic, to be fair, has looked better in recent weeks. I think he's played, 4 or 5 games in a row. But in general, the team, in the last 10 minutes last night, we were still the ones that looked most likely to go and add a third goal. And we were willing to do it as well. We weren't just sitting on, a 2-goal lead and, happy to take that. I think it was a sign that the manager wanted that next goal. Euan, are you worried about Starfelt at all?
Honestly, no, not at the moment. I think, I always try and think back on when really good centre-backs we've had, if they've had a difficult spell. I may be misremembering it, but I sort of vaguely recall that Johan Mjällby, a few fans were saying I didn't really like the look at him when he first started.
How about Van Dijk away in
exactly.
Kazakhstan?
exactly the next player I was going to mention. I'm sure some of the best defenders, Jackie, you've played with have had a couple of wobbles the first few games, but when they come into it, it's fine. I think he's got all the physical attributes. It's just about adapting to what Celtic do. It's quite a departure from Ruben Kazan's style of play. I think there'll be different kinds of responsibilities for him. There was a really good moment when I think it was the first goal against Dundee. That goal comes from Starfelt making a tackle and immediately passing it forward, and he's about maybe 5 yards from the middle of the halfway line. So his responsibilities are going to be different. I think it's worth remembering we kept a clean sheet last night, so that's got to go as that's a tick for Starfelt. I say, just you've got to give him time. And I think Kyogo has sort of distorted the expectations people are going to have on new signings because not everyone's going to be that amazing from the off. It's different for defenders. But no, I'm not writing him off at all. No, not yet.
So a tick for Starfelt. Joe Hart certainly has to get a tick as well. Probably one of the most interesting things about last night that a lot of people will be tuning in for. The event, I suppose, near the end of the match when I think during an injury break, I think it was an Alkmaar player was down injured. Joe Hart took the opportunity to run, 40, 50, 60 yards to the manager. And I think he effectively, they spoke about us being under pressure a little bit at that stage. And from that point, Celtic started going more direct. We stopped maybe playing some of the stuff at the back that we had been previously in the game, just being sensible. For me, it was brilliant. It was just that leadership that I think we badly missed last season. It was kind of what we hoped Shane Duffy was going to be, and it was certainly what we were worried about losing when Scott Brown moved on. But it's early days for all of these signings. It's early days, really early days for Joe Hart. I still think there's a lot more to come from him, but I'm just so impressed so far, Jackie, with his leadership and the way he speaks. I don't know if you saw that post-match interview on Celtic TV, but he just exudes confidence and reassurance, and you can imagine the defence feeling, about 1 million times more secure with Joe Hart in nets than they were with, Bain or Barkas. Yeah,
I think that comes with just that reassurance. The balls, crosses coming in that he comes and takes, or a shot. As a defender, you're kind of half looking round and you would just automatically think, right, that's the goalkeeper's, because that's his area, that's his domain. Whereas, I don't think the defence has had that since Fraser Forster was there. I think just having that reassurance, and the fans, because sometimes it translates onto the pitch from the stands. You just know you've got a safe pair of hands there, but also somebody that's calm, it's going to organise. The certain moments there, if we're still going, gung-ho at 70 minutes when we don't need to, you can just see out the game, like last night, and like that, to identify that and maybe just miss, when they're pressing high at that point, just missed it, bypassed the full backs and the centre backs and just clip one into the strikers or the forwards just to take the heat off the defence for a bit. So, no, I think he's a massive signing, Hart. I think even though we'd throw up 3 goalkeepers, we spoke about it for a number of weeks now, but I think that's been a massive signing as well for the club.
And that save he made as well, Euan. I mean, that, putting it simply, I don't think either Bain or Barkas makes that save. We're 1-0 down. Celtic Park would be incredibly nervy, probably knowing what our support are like, would be probably turning on the players a little bit, if not a big bit. But we're not. We're 0-0 because Joe Hart's made an incredible save. Yes, we got a bit of luck, that the fact it didn't roll into the net. Maybe the kind of luck that would have deserted us last season, but it's a brilliant save, and it's just why having a good goalkeeper is so important.
Joe Hart is, before he came, I suggested there might be a wee bit of a risk signing Joe Hart, just because the last few years have been really difficult for him, and he'll have had that sort of rustiness with the lack of first team football, but he's been everything I hoped and nothing I feared. His command, his experience, it's his short stopping it, it's how quickly he reacts, to danger that's incredibly close to him. I think already this season, I don't want to denigrate the goalkeepers from last season too much, but I think those are very different scorelines without Joe Hart a lot of the time. And the boost he'll have got, that's got to be, it's going to be such a dark place for a footballer when you're not first choice, you're kind of going from club to club and it's just not really working. He comes somewhere where they roar when you make a save. Like, it's got to be such a huge confidence boost. So, no, I'm delighted with him. I really am delighted with him. And I think, last night he was integral as well, because those big saves give the rest of the team such a boost, because they just feel more confident in themselves, I'm sure, and more confident to go further up the park and try and test the opposition goalkeeper. I think that's just simple stuff that makes such a huge difference. But yeah, he's been great. And I feel daft for worrying about him in hindsight.
You could sense when he made that save that the whole stadium got a lift and the whole team got a lift as well. And you compare that last season, we suffered so badly from setbacks. One little minor thing would go against us in a game, whether it be missing a big chance or, I don't know, getting a daft yellow or a daft red or even just the other team scoring. We would so often, after conceding, we would concede another one quickly. This season it looks like the polar opposite. It looks like the team reacts well to good things happening. Like the save last night from Joe Hart, it's 0-0, but it seemed like the whole team got a boost, as I say, and it's great to see. We don't want to go over the top as much as we probably have over the last 25 minutes, because we all know how silly we could be looking in a week's time if it doesn't go to plan and over in the Netherlands. But just great to see for now. Going on to Saturday now, Jackie, do you think he'll change things up a little bit for St Mirren?
Maybe one or two positions, but I don't think he'll change too much. I think he'll want to keep that momentum going. It's 5 wins in the bounce now, and as I said, each game I think they're getting stronger. And the first half against Hearts, was just incredible amount of chances and energy, and just having them penned in. As I said, you go back to the game at Tynecastle, the difference in a few weeks with just putting things across to the players. And fitness, and as I said, the biggest thing is also having the fans back in the stadium. That's an extra player, for the players, and you see it last night as well for European game, the difference.
Who do we want to see coming in then? I've got maybe James McCarthy, maybe getting a start. Ryan Christie probably maybe coming back in. Edward maybe coming back in. Euan?
Yeah, I think there's arguments for all three. I think it'd be really interesting to see if he changes anything in the back. Because
Montgomery?
I think you could see Montgomery, yeah. If I wanted to throw in a wild card option, I'd say Bolingoli, but I just don't know what's going on with him. But
I think Montgomery's higher rated than Bolly from the manager.
Yeah, he's the obvious second choice right now. I can see Greg Taylor's putting a real shift the last 5 or 6 games. I can see him maybe getting a rest for this one. James McCarthy, I'd like to see what he can do from the start. I think that was a really good signing as well. Christie, I'm not sure. I think it might be one of those ones where he comes on for some of the second half. Don't know where he is fitness-wise. But yeah, I don't think it'll be massive wholesale changes, but I think you'll see 3 or 4 maybe. Just because it's like Jackie says, you want to keep that momentum. Why change what's working? Unless you really have to. So yeah, I can see a few players for fitness reasons maybe either coming off early or being rotated entirely, but otherwise I don't think it'll be anything dramatic.
Yeah, we'll come on to transfers in a wee second just to round off this slightly longer video. I just think, and I kind of touched on this last night on the post-match live reaction with David outside the ground, but I just think the Celtic support need to remember where we're at the moment and how we're feeling about the team, because there's so much positivity at the moment with how the team is playing, but we do know how quickly things can change. We could theoretically struggle in Holland next week and go out of the Europa League. We could lose at Ibrox a few days later, and I think it's just important that everyone just kind of keeps a level head going forward. Now, I'm not expecting me saying this to mean that necessarily happens, but I just think that if things do go badly and we do maybe suffer a wee setback or two in the coming weeks and months, we can't go back to all these claims that Ange doesn't have a clue what he's doing and he's some nobody from Australia. We can't turn on Rogic and Ralston again if they maybe have a wee slump. We need to remember that Ange clearly does know what he's doing. These players are clearly trying, they're buying into it, and we've got to keep a level head, I think, because it's not all going to be plain sailing, and it's not going to be the invincible season. We're not going to beat every team 4 or 5-0 this season. We're going to have struggles, but I think we've got a team there that's going to give their all for us, and I think we're seeing early signs that there's a proper side building there. So that's my wee speech. Hopefully people
enjoyed that.
People won't listen to that at all. They don't really care what I have to say. But transfers: Georgios Giacomakis, the VVV Venlo striker, scored 26 goals in 30 league games last season. I was looking at his goal scoring record. That's really the only great year he's had goal scoring wise. So he does seem like a bit of a one hit season wonder, Euan, but it was last season, and 26 goals in the Eredivisie season is a pretty good total.
Yeah, I think it's Giacomakis, which I quite like saying out loud. But yeah, I think he's an interesting. It's a bit like Thomas Henry in the sense that they're both kind of players in their mid to late 20s who have just come off really, really good seasons. We're both kind of late bloomers career-wise, but I've come into real form last year or two. I think, like, why not? I mean, at the price that's being quoted, I think it's about £2 million. You know, if you're going to get players just come off a season of that kind of form, you know, we need strikers in. I mean, you could argue at the toss about who's there already until, you know, for days and days if you wanted to. But I think we need a striker who offers something a bit different physically without being a total out-and-out kind of like target man. I like the sound of him. I really do. I think Werder Bremen were interested, but they don't seem to have the money to pick him up. I forgot they were relegated, which seems really weird to me. Yeah, Giacomakis. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologise if my Greek pal is listening, but I should have checked beforehand. Sorry, I've got two Greek pals then. Sorry. But yeah, he sounds good. Everything about him sounds good, and he gets really good reviews from Holland, so I'm all for it. But it's not my money, so I can say that.
Yeah. So Giacomakis, Juranovic and Liam Scales as well. Jackie, what do you make of these kind of three players? Because it seems like all three of them are probably going to be coming into the club over the next, 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad. I do think we need another striker. If Kyogo's obviously through the middle just now. Edouard, we still don't know what's going to happen there. With Ayeti and Griffiths, I'm not sure they can play the way the manager wants to play in terms of that high intensity, defending from the front. So I think another striker coming in will be great. Right back, again, we need competition there, and another centre back as well. I think that's a natural left-sided one coming in. I think that could be 3 good additions. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, certainly hope we can get some players in by the next time that we're doing one of these videos. Right, that's all for today. Euan and Jackie, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you've not done it yet, and I really mean that. It would be massively appreciated if you would mind subbing to us as we go for 19,000. Thanks everyone, take care, and hail hail.